He thought it was just another night of secrets. A 5-star hotel, a hidden smile, a woman who wasn't his wife. But when the elevator doors opened that night, everything he believed about control, love, and power would shatter into pieces. Before we go on, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you believe karma always finds its way back. Now let's begin. The city of Denver shimmered beneath the moonlight, lights gliding across glass towers like whispers of forgotten dreams. In the heart of that city stood the Imperial Grand, a hotel where luxury met secrets, and where many stories ended long before sunrise. But tonight, it would be where one man's double life came crashing down. David Carter was a man used to winning, sharp suit, charming grin, and a phone always buzzing with opportunity. To the world, he was a respectable businessman, a devoted husband, a loving father. But behind every smile he gave, behind every late meeting he claimed, there lived a truth that would burn everything he'd built. David wasn't just living a lie, he was living 2 lives. In one, he was the devoted husband to Elena Carter, a graceful woman with eyes like quiet storms, patient and steady. She carried herself with dignity that came from years of holding a family together. In the other life, David was restless, chasing youth and excitement in places where love meant nothing and promises dissolved like smoke. Tonight he had chosen the latter. The city was alive, the air thick with the scent of rain and sin, and at the Imperial Grand, a woman waited for him. Her name was Clara, younger, radiant, and dangerous. She was the kind of woman who made men feel young again, but left them emptier than they'd ever been. When David arrived, his reflection in the glass doors of the hotel almost startled him. A man in a crisp suit, confident, smiling, but in his eyes, a shadow lingered, maybe guilt, maybe fear. Clara's laugh echoed as she greeted him, her red dress catching every flicker of light. She leaned close, whispering, "Relax, no one will ever know," and David, weak against temptation, smiled back, his wedding band tucked into his pocket. As they walked toward the elevator, his pulse quickened, not from love, but from the thrill of getting away with it, the same thrill that had driven him for months. But what David didn't know was that this night was never about getting away. It was about getting caught, because while he was living 2 lives, Elena, his quiet wife, was building one of her own. For months, she had watched him drift further away. The excuses, the late nights, the cologne that wasn't hers. But instead of falling apart, Elena gathered herself. She learned the art of silence, not weakness, but patience. And behind that silence, she was building something powerful. The Carter family had once struggled financially, until Eleanor's late father left her a hidden inheritance, shares in a business that grew quietly, one of which was the Imperial Grand Hotel. What David never cared to notice was that his wife had been turning that inheritance into an empire. Brick by brick, signature by signature, she became what he always pretended to be: powerful, respected, unstoppable. And tonight, she was about to show him. David and Clara reached the top floor. The penthouse suite glittered with chandeliers and soft jazz. Clara poured champagne, her laughter soft and careless. David took a sip, feeling the night melt into pleasure. But downstairs, another arrival changed the air. The lobby doors opened, and in walked Elena, poised, radiant, dressed in a black silk gown that flowed like midnight. Every head turned. Even the hotel manager straightened instantly. "Good evening, Mrs. Carter," he said respectfully. Elena nodded, her gaze calm but sharp. "Is the suite ready?" She asked. "Yes, ma'am. Everything's in place," he replied. He didn't dare ask why. He could tell from her eyes. Something was about to happen. Upstairs, David leaned back on the couch, his tie undone, his laughter loud. But then his phone buzzed. A message from his wife. He froze. The words were simple, but chilling. "I hope you're enjoying your stay." He looked at Clara, forcing a smile. "Just a work thing," he said. Though his heart began to race, the elevator chimed, its doors sliding open behind him. Clara turned first, her smile fading, and when David followed her gaze, the glass slipped from his hand. The champagne spilled like gold on the marble floor. Standing there, illuminated by the soft lights of the suite entrance, was Elena, not the woman he ignored at home, but a version of her he'd never seen before. Powerful, composed, and heartbreakingly calm. "Elena," he stammered. "This isn't a save it," she said softly, her voice steady, cutting through the air sharper than any scream. Clara stood frozen, clutching her dress. "Wait, who?" "His wife," Elena said coldly, her eyes never leaving David. "And as of today, the new owner of this hotel." The silence was heavy. Only the faint hum of city lights below dared to fill it. David blinked, confusion flooding his face. "Owner, what are you talking about?" Elena stepped forward, each step deliberate, her heels clicking against marble. "You've spent months lying to me, to yourself, chasing something meaningless. And you did it here, in a place that now belongs to me." Her voice was low, calm, but behind it burned every ounce of pain she'd carried in silence. David's lips trembled. "Elena, please, I can explain." But she raised a hand. "Don't insult me with explanations, David. You made your choices, and I made mine." She turned to the hotel manager standing near the door. "Please escort Miss Clara out," politely. Clara's face went pale. "David, say something," she whispered. But he was speechless. The man who always had words now stood broken, his lies stripped bare. As Clara was led out, Elena stood in front of him, her eyes glistening, not with tears, but with power. "You built your world on lies," she said. "But while you were busy destroying vows, I was building something real, something that would never depend on you." David fell to his knees, voice cracking. "Elena, please, I love you. I can change." She looked at him, a small, pained smile curving her lips. "Love isn't a word, David. It's a choice. And you made yours long ago." She turned away, but paused at the door, a hand resting lightly on the frame. "This isn't revenge. It's freedom. I spent years believing I needed you to define my worth. But tonight, I walk away knowing I never did." And then she left, her silhouette fading down the corridor, like a shadow finally stepping into light. David stayed there, surrounded by luxury he didn't own, power he didn't control, and silence he couldn't escape. Hours later, the city was still awake, but for David, the noise of the world was gone. All that remained was regret, the bitter taste of losing something he never valued until it was gone. Downstairs, Elena stood on the balcony of the hotel lobby, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. Her phone buzzed with messages, investors, managers, congratulations, but she ignored them. She closed her eyes, breathing in the cold night air, feeling something she hadn't felt in years, peace. In that moment, she wasn't just a betrayed wife or a hotel owner. She was a woman reborn from her own pain, free and fierce, somewhere far below. David stumbled out of the elevator, lost, empty, watching her from afar. But this time, he didn't dare speak, because he finally understood what silence can mean when love dies. It's not weakness, it's strength. Eleanor's voice echoed in his mind, every word she had said, now carved into memory. And as he walked out into the night, broken and small beneath the glow of the empire she built, one truth lingered in the air, haunting and heavy. When a woman stops waiting to be loved and starts loving herself, there is nothing more powerful. And as the city lights flickered above, the question that burned inside every heart watching this story was simple yet unforgettable. When karma finally knocks on your door, will you be ready to face it? If you enjoy this story, do well to subscribe, like and share.